touch this person, they want to touch the other person, they make the class rowdy when the teacher is teaching. And then for the secondary school, especially in boarding school, most of the time it is, you know, very sensitive issues like bullying, like sometimes sexual misconduct. Sometimes a child might even be caught with drugs, or, you know, a social vice that is very wrong, you know, and that the school had already had rules concerning them. In fact, I remember in the day school where I work, one of the rules in the school is the boys should tuck in their shirts. And you find these boys don't want to tuck in their shirts. They wear their trousers, and when they see the teachers coming, they fold the shirts like this. So you will assume that it is tucked in. The moment you walk past them, they release it. And they know people like Mrs. Namo, because when they see me coming, they will say, she's coming because I will just pull out the shirt because I know that it's not tucked in. You know, so those are some of the things that
rebellious
could make children get punished in school.
Okay, Mr. Kabru, what are the other things why children are punished in school?
Well, based on my own experience, and I have to limit it based on secondary school level, because
that's where you've worked.
I've worked from and retired in another school now, coordinating another school. And basically, if the students themselves go contrary to the school rules and regulations, usually when we give admission, we tend to give school rules and regulations to go along with it. And parents are expected to sit down and read the school rules and regulations. So there are a lot of activities that are happening in the school, and both the day school and the boarding school. And once a student is able to go contrary to such, then the issue of punishment comes in there.
Okay. There's something you raised that I think parents should, the parents' attention should be drawn to it. The fact that when people get admission into schools, they are given the rules and regulations of the school, and it's expected that parents and their children should go through these rules and regulations and know what is expected of them. Okay, are there instances where people are punished for things they have done that is not in the rule book?
Well, you know, the issue at hand here is that there are a lot of things that happen because of day-to-day activities in the school. There are instances, there are some few things that may not necessarily be in the school rule, but you have to link it and also have to be punished for not doing that. Let me give you a typical example. A student may decide not to use his spoon eating the dining hall, and you know, you may think that it's just a minor thing for him not using his spoon. He can equally use his hand, but it's not. It might not be there in the school, so you just have to punish. And the kind of punishment you give is a punishment that will be instant, and the child will be able to know that it's more of a corrective thing rather than this. But those ones that are found in the school rules are the ones that we now know that every day it happens, and there's possibility that the student can come across such offense, and then then you punish. Okay.
Then to ask, why do we need to punish children? You know, now I know in recent times people are saying we shouldn't punish children. They are not animals. We should discuss with them. We should reason with them. You know, talk with children, and you are going to get the best out of them. Mrs. Namo, let's start with you. What do you think about that? Should we just speak with children? And because I've heard parents saying they are not happy that children are being punished in school, that schools should rather have discussions with children and not punish them and all.
Well, these children you are trying to raise, like the Bible will say that foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. And you know that no child is taught to sin per se, in quotes. They just want to test the person that is giving the rule. Okay, you come to a school. At resumption, you are giving school rules, regulations that if you break, you are going to be suspended, or you are going to be given so punishment, correction or punishment. But you see, a child will want to check whether the school will actually carry out what they said they will. And that's why when a school says that if a child steals, this is what we'll do to the child, the school should see to it that they do it to the end. So punishment is not necessarily because you want to defame the child, or you want to deform the child, or because you want to just carry out the anger in your heart. It is meant for correction. You are supposed to be doing this, you are not doing it. So this is what should make you resort to doing. There's a place of discussion, yes. That's why schools are encouraged to have counselors. There's a place of discussion where the child will go to the counselor for discussion, but there's also a place of discipline. I, as a counselor, have worked with children that, have made very bad mistakes in school. In the counseling office, I'm supposed to work with them to let them see that what they are doing is wrong. But when it comes to discipline, the school management carry out the discipline. And they cannot say, because the counselor has counseled the child, so school now can forfeit the discipline. Because if you do it for one, you have to do it for all. And then children can begin to say, Daniel did something wrong, nothing was done to him, so why should it be me that something should be done to? So that's why school, and you can't run a place without rules, without regulation. Everything will be scattered. So there are basic rules that run every school. Every school's rule is different from the other. If you check, it's not everything that is the same. Some schools have a little here, a little there. So all of this punishment is meant to help the child. So because school and learning is not just about reading and writing, it's about formation of character. It's about preparing you for tomorrow. If you are not able to keep to basic school rules, when you start to work in an office, how are you going to, even an office have rules, how are you going to be able to keep to the rules in the office? So these are some of the reason why some punishments are very, very important.
Uncle, do you have the same mindset that punishment is very important, because Mrs. Namo has stressed it?
Yes, punishment, it's very, very important. Students are prone to come across or make mistakes in school, and that is why modern schools, you must have a guidance and counseling department, or you must have an educational psychologist. I am speaking to you, I'm an educational psychologist, and my sister here, she's a guidance and counseling expert. And before a student is being punished, it's expected that he has to pass through certain system, either through the counselor or the the psychologist in the school, to find out what is really the problem of the child. What is really the problem? Gone are the days, during our days, that once you punishment, give him this, go and go. Now, because of so many things that are happening, and the rate in which the children go to school based on terms of ages and their exposure to society, you also have to counsel first. Find out why is the reason that this child is doing this before punishment will be meted on such students.
Okay, you have raised an interesting point. We'll come to the reasons why they do this later, but let's look at the punishments. What kind of punishments do we give in schools?
Well, most times, there are instant punishments.
Yes.
There are, short-term punishment, and there are long-term punishment. Things like expulsion, suspension, go weed the grasses, walk in the toilet for some days, pick up papers in the compound. And I know that flogging is reducing, because a lot of times when people flog, they flog out of pain in their heart for what the child has done. And sometimes you make a mistake and you can injure the child. That's why even if you want to flog, You have to be very careful when you are flogging a child, so that you don't flog a child in a place that will leave a mark that the child will be remembering all his life, that it was my teacher that gave me this mark. It's not really advisable. So if you must flog a child, you have to be sure of where you are flogging the child. The child will learn from the flogging, but it won't leave a permanent damage on the child. And then there are some punishments, some of these hard labor punishment that you have to be very careful about too. You know, like I was told that a teacher asked the child to go and lie down and be looking at the sun, and it almost destroyed the child's eye. The parent had to take it up with the school. Such punishments were in the military. You don't do that in a school, but some schools do it. Or you tell a child to go and kneel on stones. Tell a child to go and kneel on stones or crawl on the floor, and at the end of the day, you see the children bleeding. Those are two extreme punishments. But there are punishments according to age, and according to what the crime that the child committed.
Uncle, do you want to add to?
Yes, I just want to let viewers know that a punishment in schools now is linked with you punish with love. You don't punish because the child has to know why he has to be punished, and when the punishment is being done, it's with love. And we have now come to find out that teachers do not have the right to lash students anyhow without the approval of the head of the school. And even with the head of the school, we now tell the kind of lashing that needs to be done. You don't just go because a child has done it. Say, let me have that cane, and papa, and start. No, it's not more. The Child Act, Protection Act, and so many things in here have given it that you are punishing. You punish with love, especially Christian-owned schools. We try to let them understand that yes, we punish, but we also want to punish you to let you understand that it's because of the love that we are punishing you. So we don't just punish because we want to. And the punishment must be beneficial
to the child,
and also to the system, and not the kind of punishment because you want to do it and at the tail end it becomes a permanent mark on the child of that child. So these are all things.
In those days, the trademark of a teacher is one man who wears one trousers on the stomach with a belt and with a big stick, so that when he appears in the school, everybody is running away. A teacher should be a friend to the children. A teacher should be accommodating. We used to say that those days they use it to correct. There are so many other challenges that children are facing these days that was not common then. So maybe that worked. I don't know if it worked, because I grew up in those days. One of the things I dread is beating. I schooled in the barracks. I tried to make sure that nobody beats me.
Nobody likes beating. Why they'll beat you? You behave yourself.
So
and they beat us for all sorts of things.
All sorts.
Your nails. Ruler. That one ruler.
Such things. There are several other ways to punish children that will not make the child. Some of these teachers of those days, the children hate. You hate you. In fact, I don't want to see some teachers. We had a man who was our school brigade somebody that time. We hated that man, because anytime you commit any offense, the teacher will say, "I will report you to this man." You start begging, because if he wants to flog you, he will beat you and tell you not to rub the hand. He will tell you to bring the hand. He will flog, and you if you do like this, -1.
No.
And so we hated him with a passion. I can't even remember him now. I remember a few of my teachers, but that man, I don't even want to remember. You
have psychologically blocked his face.
So
from
it's
your brain.
Children should grow up to love us as teachers, to respect us, to say that my teacher corrected me when I did something wrong. My teacher flogged me, yes, but she did it in love, like Uncle said, and I'm better for it now. Not just beat a child because the child has done something. You just it's not right.
Okay, so thank you for all that. So as a parent now, you find out that your child was punished in school. Punishment, okay, you said immediate punishment for, maybe you heard he was flogged, he was made to pick paper all around the school, or made to kneel down or do something like that. What should be your response as a parent? Okay, let's start with primary school. You find out that they come home and they tell you that they were punished. What do?
What did you do? No teacher want to punish a child just like that.
Yes.
So
okay, so you have to have a discussion with the child.
Yes, what did you do? And if the child tells me what he or she has done, and maybe if the child comes with a broken arm,
wow,
or injury,
some extreme
injury, I need to confront the school, not to fight, but to make a case. See, I'm not saying don't punish my child, but please don't injure my child. He or she, I don't subscribe to parents who go to say, this teacher that has done this to my child today, you will know what I would. No, you don't go to that extreme. You need to find out, first of all, from the child, what did you do? Because no teacher wants to beat you or punish you for doing nothing. After you have established that.
What if the child tells you nothing? I didn't do anything.
It's not possible. It's not possible. You can say, you didn't do anything. Okay, I'll go and ask your teacher. They will start talking. I will go and ask you because I know your teacher will tell me what you have done, So that is why you need to collaborate with the teachers as parents. There are some times when, your child does something and the school calls your attention. Please, ma, we want to see you in school. Look at what your child In fact, it is you that will tell them, please help me discipline him, because you know that the school is concerned about your child. Not just because they want to just batter your child for you. So you need to establish whether the child actually did something wrong, especially those in primary school. You see, these primary school children, they can be very naughty. Especially when they know that they have a backup at home. A mother who will tell them, teacher beat you. That teacher, I will show him a hand. They will always come home. In fact, some of them, they will do the thing when they have received the punishment. When they get to the gate or they know you are about to come and pick them, they will start crying.
The drama.
They will now create a scene and drama when you now come. Because you too, you are a drama queen or drama queen. You accept the drama and two of you start acting. So you need to know, first of all, who is your child? Because if you know your child is the noisy type, you say, did you make noise? Because I don't think your teacher just beat you like that. What did you do? The child will tell you, when the child tells you, since you have done this and this, what were you expecting the teacher to do? You broke the school rule, So we need to know our children, discuss with our children about the things that are being done. And then if a child has been punished, you need to sit with the child. You see, you did this song and you got this punishment. If you did it right, no teacher will punish you. So are you going to promise mommy that you will not do it wrong again? You will now be a good child since you know that the teacher will not spare you. I will tell the teacher not to spare you. So let the child respect the teacher because the child knows that even mommy will not tolerate it.
Yeah, as a parent, first thing you do is know the school, your child's school. You make a choice of a child going to a particular school. Then the next thing here is that the boy or the child is back home, that he was punished from school. Find out from the child what the problem is. And the first school of every child is the home. It must start from the home. And parents should also know that what they know about the children at home might be different from what the child is exhibiting in the school.
That's very interesting.
Why? Because in the school, it's a bigger environment compared to the house. And there are tendencies that the child may, as a result of one thing or the other, will exhibit some negative tendencies that will require him to be punished. So when a parent, when the child comes and he says that, Daddy, I was punished in the school, the question I will ask is that, what did you do? discuss with the child. And there will give me the next action to take. It's not ideal that a parent will now quickly rush to school and go and say, why did you punish my child, or whatever it is. You made a choice of coming to the school, and there are other schools. And apart from the school itself, you should also, as a parent, have an idea of the kind of teachers that are in the system. So that will give you, once you are confident, you are so comfortable with the school, you are comfortable with the kind of teachers that are there, and you know that these teachers that are there will give you the best. And there's no need for you to come in. Just sit down with the child and find out what is the problem. Especially if you now know that the child must have not, he will tell you the truth of what must have happened. But if the child comes back home with injury, serious injury on him as a result of the punishment given to the school, then as a parent, you can go extra mile to find out what must have happened in the school, that my child is back with this injury.
So, okay, even with the case of injury, how do you go about it? Do you start from the gate or bring security personnel to attack the school?
No, that is why you have a head in the school.
Okay.
This time around, you walk to the head teacher or the principal, as the case may be, and with love, discuss. I'm here. My son came back from school with an injury, and he said that it was a punishment that was meted to him, and that's why he has the injury. Then from there you start. You don't just go straight and go and meet the teacher concerned. No. The principal or whoever is in the school there, you discuss with him. It is the principal now that will determine to find out what must have transpired. But most times, and very good schools, even if the teacher punishes a student, he now goes to report to the supervisor, or he reports to the principal that this is what student A or B has done, and that's why I decided to punish him. And that will help the system go on. But for parents that will now move straight to
the class and drag the teacher out, or bring security men or bouncers or whatever, that why did you beat whatever it is, you are exposing yourself as a parent. It shows that at home something is wrong. You're not just exposing yourself, you're also sending a signal to your child. Good.
Please, so what's that signal so that parents will hear?
The child will begin to see that, okay, so I can do anything and get away with it. If I do anything and any teacher talks to me, I will report to my father, and my father will come and deal with the teacher. And the child, you are already building a criminal out of the child.
Because I remember one of my children, when they were still in primary school, my son came home and told me that one of his classmates was punished by the teacher for doing something wrong. And the mother, who was a security personnel, I don't know whether she was in the police or something, came personally and threatened the teacher that if you ever punish my child, I will lock you up. And I felt bad, because what it meant for me, well, what I understood was like, you have made the teacher lose face in front of the children.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that teacher can't discipline the children. They can do anything they like in that teacher's class, and nothing would happen. And I felt that was very wrong. And I expected, well, maybe the school authorities should have done something. But I think maybe sometimes, because you want people paying school fees, you don't do certain things. Because a proprietress had told me before too, of her own school, a child stole. He had been stealing, and they had been trying to work with him to stop. He didn't, so he stole again, and I think the teacher flogged him that day. The next day, the father came. The proprietress was out of town. The father came and insisted that the teacher must apologize to his son in front of the whole class.
Are you serious?
And then, everybody, maybe out of fear, you want to hold your daily bread, you don't want anybody to sack you. The teacher had to apologize, and the father went home happily. So when the proprietress came back from her trip and heard the story, she sent for the father. And she says, this story didn't end well, because this is how this story ends, or should end. you disgrace the teacher, then you take your child and leave the school. That's how they do it. So take your child and leave. And the father started begging. She says, no, this child can't be in this school
Exactly.
now. Nobody can control this child anymore.
Exactly,
So
yes.
take your child and leave the school.
have to
And so
leave
that's how they send the child out of the school. I
Yes.
can't come here. You had a problem. You didn't approach management. You go straight to teacher, embarrass the teacher, and leave your child with that teacher and
That's
go
it.
away.
Again.
It doesn't work that way.
And
So
it's to teach the child. again.
yes,
And
after
when-
embarrassing him. So the best thing, just take your child and go. Your child can't be in this school. It can't
Exactly.
work. So the father begged, but the proprietors refused.
Yeah. That
was a
And
good
they
one.
insisted.
That was a good one.
They left with the child because of the effect on the child. Okay, this is, we've talked about punishments, injuries. Okay, suspension. What do? You get a letter. Your child has been suspended. Come on, or you get a phone call. Your child has been suspended. Maybe for primary school, they say, please don't come to school for the next 1 week or 2 weeks. Or secondary school, is in boarding school, say, come and pick your child
For 2 weeks.
from school for 2 weeks. That one too is already another problem for you, especially if you don't even have people, a caregiver to take care of the child at home. So now you have to be taking the child to work or whatever. You have to start making alternative arrangements. So what do you do as a parent? Maybe Uncle will start with you.
Well, I remember I told you, I said the first place of a child is the home when it gets to issue of schooling. Either during the session or out of session of school, parents should play their role by making sure that these children are given something else to do. So when a child is on suspension, and basically suspension now means it's a break in the regular program of the school system. Probably the student or the child has a little problem, and based on the school rules and regulations, it says that he must go home for 1 week or 2 week suspension. Now he has to go for that 1 week or 2 week suspension. As a parent now at home, it is your responsibility now as a the parent at home, look for something else that will keep him busy. That will keep him busy because it's still a school system.
Yeah.
And that is why in most schools now, the curriculum and the syllabus is usually given from the beginning of the term that every parent, the students themselves have. So when they now know that they are out of school, social topics are going on in the school, and the students themselves will forced to read in order to prepare themselves, not to miss the aspect of the academic, but in the partnership or being together with students, that's a break. And that's why the suspension is in there.
But sometimes this suspension, I don't know whether, as you said, the child has the curriculum and is supposed to be reading. But sometimes it's like it's an enjoyment break. They just come home, they are watching TV, eating what they like, just chilling, in quotes.
Yeah, but the thing is that when a child is on suspension, you as a parent, you now know that it's a part of punishment. And you are expected to withdraw some few things from him. And those things that you're going to withdraw are the things that you know that he likes very well. When a child is on suspension does not mean that his academics is off track. No. You should understand that even if he's in school, he does not have the opportunity to be watching the TV or doing some other few things, eating or whatever it is. No. He's on suspension. You should also let the child know that I'm not happy while you're at home. And as such, all the things that he likes doing, you withdraw it from him. So that he equally will now know that my parents or my dad, my mom are not happy with what, of course, what I've done, that I'm back home. No.
Okay, Mrs. Nomo, we want to...
A child suspension. I used to say that before a child goes on suspension, the parents need to be notified.
Yes.
You don't just serve a child a letter of suspension and say, come and pick your child is on suspension.
Or you call.
Or you make a call and say, come and pick your child is on suspension. It's very wrong for a school to do that. First of all, the school needs to call the parent in and explain what it is that the child has done that warrant a suspension. And the parents should be sure that it actually happened. And then if they have taken it and there's an understanding between the school and the parents, now you take your child home. it is time for talk, serious talk with that child. Your mates are in school, you are at home. It shouldn't be something you are happy about. It's not a time for fun. It's not a time for me to take you on holiday. In fact, you are not going to enjoy any privilege throughout the period of suspension while at home. You won't enjoy any privileges. In fact, I can put you on a job within that period. If I have a lot of work in my office, if you are a big boy or a big girl that can do some of the things, you will follow me to go and be doing the work, or you follow me and go and sit in the office and read your books. That is to make sure that the suspension, the child actually feels the pain of that suspension. Because if you just say, you have been suspended, sit at home now, okay, and then that's all. The child watches TV when he likes, especially because both parents are out, nobody at home, he's the only one now, he's the boss. He sits there, watch TV, he does whatever he likes, he's now finishing all my food. No, you can't be eating just like that. Before you eat even bread, you have to take permission because you are on suspension, not just from school, you're also on suspension at home. So you need to let the child feel the suspension. If not, the child will be longing for suspension. Yes, because he or she will go back to school and say, I wish they would even suspend me again this day. Because at home, suspension was fun. But if the child knows that being at home is worse than being in school safe, the child will not want any form of suspension to be repeated on him or her again. So that she will not, you will say, hey, it's better to be in school than to be at home on suspension. If he's at home not on suspension, there are privileges that he enjoys. But if he's at home on suspension, you need to withdraw all those privileges so that he will feel the pain of that suspension. But then again, you must be sure that the child actually earned that suspension from school. Because sometimes I have been in a case where after deliberation, we discovered that the child was suspended wrongly. And the suspension had to be withdrawn. Okay. Because so as a school, before you suspend a child, you need to really, I've started in panels, although as a counselor, you don't join to give punishment. It is believed that when the punishment has been meted, the counselor withdraws the child to go and explain the punishment and tell the child that nobody hates you, we just want to correct you, and all those counseling talks ahead. So most times I sit in there while suspension is being, issues of punishments are being discussed. So when issues like that are being discussed, I don't make comments. But if I see anyone that is wrong, after all the talks, I will call the leader of the team. Before you write this suspension letter, before you make this punishment, can you look at these gray areas? And when you look clearly, you might discover that it is better to keep the child in school and give the child punishment in school than sending the child home. So don't just be quick to say, you have done 2 weeks for suspension. Yeah, go to your parents. Teachers just want that stuff.
Okay, hold on to that thought. We'll still come back and discuss the issue of suspension, whether it's warranted or not, and what parents should do. We'll go on break briefly and then come back and continue this conversation so that parents really know what to do when, well, I hope we don't, but if we have those kind of problems with our kids, to know what to do instead of doing the wrong thing, but doing the best that we can do to make sure that the children are properly corrected and turn out better. So see you after the break. Welcome back, viewers, from our break. We'll be right here at the living room on Equa Television talking about the response of us parents towards discipline in school. When our children are disciplined in school, what we should do, how we should respond. And we've been here in the studio talking with Mrs. Ivy Namo.
Welcome back.
And Mr. Stroke, as I said, Uncle Gideon Kaburuk, who are educationists, psychologists, and counselors. So they know their onions and they are advising us accordingly how we should react as parents. So we're talking about what to do when a child is suspended. And Mrs. Namo raised certain issues that sometimes a child may be suspended wrongly. And so before a school institutes or writes the suspension letter, you should have a discussion with the parents and mostly, of course, the child before that happens. So in what kind of situations would you say maybe suspension was done wrongly? What kind of scenarios would play out? That
Sometimes like fighting.
okay.
Two children are involved in a fight, and sometimes the first child to go and report is seen as a good child. And then the other, and he may even be the one that caused the trouble. And then the other child didn't go to report, they just sent for him. And then he comes and they say, you are the one that has beat up this person. In fact, some children even go as far as injuring themselves so that they can go and use it to report. And because the school did not investigate properly, they will now punish the child. Even when the child is saying, I didn't injure him, say, then who injured him? Well, you're not the one who fought him, and things like that. So except proper investigation is done, if you suspend that child, you may be doing it wrongly. You know, there are times when some children are even victims of, something gets missing, and they are, because they were at the scene, they are the suspects. And if you don't look at it very well, you may end up suspending the child for what the child did not do. So there's need for proper investigation. There's need for, parents to be called in. I remember there was a time somebody went and told my mother a story about me. My mom, she didn't go to any formal school, but her wisdom always, thrilled me. She told them that I have 6 children and I know each of them. So I'm not saying children don't change, but you see this girl, you say she did this thing. Until I talk with her, I can't believe you. And they called me. So my mom sent for me. I went and she just said, hey, what happened in school? And not in school, sorry, what happened between you and this person? So I told her the whole story. He said, but this is what I heard. I said, Mama, no, I didn't. She said, I believed you. Because I've known you for years. I was about 20-something then. So if you know your child, some parents feel they know their child, even though children can change. Like Uncle said, some children go to school and they are not what they are at home. But then let's ask questions. Let's be sure as a school that this suspension is actually correct, so that we don't suspend children wrongly.
Okay, now,
or sexual misconduct is another area where children are suspended.
Okay, now from the parents' point of view, the school says your child has done something. And you ask your child say, I didn't do it. But the school is insisting that this child did this. And they say they have evidence to prove that this child, what should you do as a parent?
If, like that, we have said over time here that you need to know your child. You need to know when your child is lying to you. As a Christian parent, when you sit with your child, and you may just be quiet, but at a point you need to sit with your child and say, tell me the truth. If this thing is wrong, if you actually did it, I'm not going to kill you, but I just want to know the truth. Children will tell you the truth at some point. They will. If you have been close to them and they are used to telling you things, it's not until when they make a mistake that you suddenly want to know what is wrong with them. But they are children that are your friends. They are used to interacting with you. It's not just, did you do it? No, I didn't do it. No. It's a sitting down to talk, and so that you will convince yourself that your child did it or didn't do it. There's a way your child will be talking, you just know that. There are some children, they tell you that she break a glass. Hey, this one I know. Don't worry, I know she can do it, you know. So things like that.
So, what do you think?
Yes, you see, the issue of suspension is usually second to the last in the educational setup. For a child to go on suspension, it means that there must be investigations that must have been done. And in every well-established school, you will have the disciplinary committee that will investigate cases. And in that disciplinary committee, once they do all their investigations, they now report back to a higher authority in the school system. And the higher authority in the school system, there could be either the principal or the vice principal. If the principal is not around in there, then the principal calls for a management meeting. It's at the management meetings that you analyze and look at it, the offense and the student in question, after the disciplinary committee must have reported. And then when it gets in here, don't forget, before suspension, it means that there are certain measures that must have been done on the child that it has a problem. So when it gets to issue of suspension, then you now know for sure that this child must have done what it is. So for parents to now come back and say, no, that my child, after discussing with him or talking with him, he said he actually did not do that, it means that something is wrong somewhere else. And that is the place that it involves an extra work. And for parents, you are expected to not just I'm sending the child to school. Try to know your child very, very well.
Exactly.
Know him very, very well. At times, he may decide to say, Mommy, I did not do it just because he feels that this time around he's with the parent and he wants to have a circle. And the parents should not put a fault on him or her. And throughout the years of my teaching, I've not come to a situation where a parent will come to the school and say that my son finally said that this is because there are different stages we pass in the school system before the issue of suspension comes in.
So it's good you raised it, because sometimes from the point of view of parents, sometimes we feel like they just woke up and suspended our child. But you see that you've shown us that there's a process.
There's a process.
Yes. An investigative process. People sit down.
Yes.
There are two committees, the disciplinary committee, the management sits down
to see
over the issue. So it's not something that they quickly arrive at.
Yes.
So we should also not be quick at arriving at the conclusion. We must also investigate thoroughly and talk with our child. And as we've said before, that we need to be close to our children, and that closeness doesn't just happen suddenly. It's something we've been talking about. You need to start from when they are very young and be consistent so that you know your child very well. Now we come to the biggest of them all, expulsion. Your child is expelled from a school.
Well, for a child to be expelled from school, it means that he must have passed one or two suspensions. From the schools that I've worked with, the one I'm working with presently, the school rule states that you have the first suspension, you have the second suspension. Then the third one is usually not suspension, it's expulsion. But before it gets to expulsion, it means that it must have been a very, very, very severe and difficult situation that the school cannot be able to handle. And that's why we now see go on expulsion. But there are other instances that you may
expulsion comes immediately.
And that, for every good school, every school, we do not pray, especially when you now find a child. Sometimes he goes on, you find him with drug or weapon or whatever he's trying to go after this. That you don't need to wait for the first or second suspension. He goes home immediately. And then if he's going home immediately again, you also have to talk and find out. Now, don't forget that the first suspension, the parents are invited. The second one, they are invited. And the school rule says that you cannot go more than 2 suspensions. Then, don't forget again, when you are admitted in the school, the child had to, the parents also have to sign and agree,
taking.
you know,
Some
on the
basic
school rules
rules,
and regulations.
yes, yeah.
There's a portion there you have to sign and agree that, yes, this is school rule and regulation. And also the parents are meant to, once in a while, you read the school rules with the children. Either in the
Reminding
dining hall,
yourselves.
reminding them of the do's and don'ts about the school. So when it gets to issue of expulsion now, it means that that is the last resort. But again, you still have to create room to hear from the child. But when it has to do with something else that is more dangerous and is becoming more a problem to other students within here, you don't need to wait.
That's for the school, but now as a parent,
Yes.
they've expelled your child.
Yes.
What should you do?
Well,
What should you do?
well,
Because it's a hard nut to crack. It's very difficult.
It is.
But it's happening. Parents are receiving children that have been expelled. What should you do?
that is not all in life.
Yeah.
There's still room for improvement.
So what do?
You have to talk and still love the child. You talk and love. You don't just talk and throw away. You talk and bring him close.
Okay.
Then you are going to learn more things. The child will tell you more
No
things
things.
because already he's in pain. But if the child is in pain and you yourself are also in pain and you feel that you've disgraced me, blah 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 blah, you will not get
That child.
that child.
I think it's not about destroying the child. The school had to expel a child because they couldn't manage the child within the school. Again, and or because the child has gone against the school rules.
Despite
But-
maybe several warnings.
Yes, but the child has not gone against your home rules. He's still your child.
He's still in the
So
house.
it's time to sit down. What are we doing wrongly? What are we supposed to do to help this child improve? It's time of sober reflection for everybody in the house. Let's talk about it. What is really going on? How did we get here? So that we can find a way to help the child. It's not about you have disgraced me, you have destroyed this family name. I reject you as a child. No, those things don't come. Because whether you reject him as a child or you
He's
didn't
still your
reject
child.
him, your blood still runs in the child's vein.
He still bears the family name.
It's time to sit down and talk. It's time to pray as a parent. It's time, if you have not been praying before, it's time to really pray. It's time to check all the teachings that you have been teaching over the years with this child.
If you
That
have
this
been teaching.
child has still come to this point to do this grievous offense. I think it's time to sit down as a family to talk about it. The other siblings too have to be part of the whole thing. We're not going to throw you away. You are still a child, but maybe you're going to lose a year, you know. But you don't. One mistake you can make as a parent is to immediately enroll the child in another school, which is very wrong.
Oh, okay,
If
we
your
shouldn't.
child has been expelled from
from
a
the school.
school, keep him at home for that school year. Let the child stay at home and, you know, talk with the child, get the child to learn, you know, to return back to school as a good child now. You know, so that whatever school you are getting for this child, the child now knows that he cannot do what he did in the other school. Because if your child is suspended from a school and as you are driving him out of the school, you are driving him into some other schools because other schools are waiting. It is, the other schools may collect your child, but it is not helping that child. But whether you like it or not, the child may play pranks on you in that school. He may not get expelled in the school. But once the child graduates and gets to the university, your case may start afresh.
So those habits have not gone.
Yes.
Have not gone.
So it's not like parents should not be in a hurry to say, okay, since they've expelled it, let's look for another
School.
No.
Don't
And take it
ever
there.
do that.
No,
as
we
a
should take time
parent.
to find out what the
Yes,
issues
Yes,
are.
yes,
yes.
and work on it.
Work on it.
Yes.
That also means that parents shouldn't go fighting the school that expelled the child.
No.
Because I've had parents take schools to court. I've
court,
heard,
yes.
yeah, for different things. A child may be bullied or injured somebody. Maybe they've been giving warning about
Warning,
this
yeah.
bullying.
The warning,
child
is,
persists.
the warning is the first suspension, the second suspension.
and
Before
the child
exposure.
still
Then they send you
continue.
out.
They still
I hear
continue.
parents,
No.
that parents take schools to
School to
court.
court.
I've known of some where they expelled some for drug use.
Yeah.
And they took to court. And I was like, some parents, so me, I don't know, but me, I'll be so ashamed.
I won't
even want anybody to hear it.
crying. I won't even want people to hear it that my child was caught with drugs. No. You need to sit down and say and check yourself again. How did I get here? My child with drugs. We have to talk, so that you can help the child to get back.
So the issue is to make effort to get the child back on track.
On track,
Exactly.
It's not to rush to get the child back to school.
No.
No.
So if we need to lose a year,
Yeah. Yes.
let's lose a year, but
Yeah.
make sure you're
And
back
the child is
on
back,
track.
yes.
It's not so. Character is more important
Yeah.
than finishing school,
No.
at the right time, in quotes. You need to finish well. So the character. So yes, for me, I never thought of it that we need to take time to make this child learn the right way to behave before rushing
To another
back
school.
to another school. Well, we've been told to wrap up. Maybe last words. We've been talking about what to do with discipline issues in the school. If your child is disciplined in school, from punishment to suspensions to expulsion, what do you do? And something very important has come out today. If your child is expelled from school, is not expelled from your family. Mm-hmm. Be patient. Take time to make sure the child learns what he's supposed to learn. Don't be in a hurry to rush this child back to school. And also don't take the school for granted. Or don't say they are not serious. Uncle Kabruk has raised issues that before they suspend a child, before suspension, you have even said that committees have sat, discussed. Then by the time it's time for expulsion, they have discussed, they have gone back and forth before they finally expel your child. So you shouldn't start fighting the system like that, but find out what happened and what you can do with your child. So Mrs. Namo, last words before we wrap up.
I wish we had time. One area that I do not agree with schools' expulsion or suspension is when a child attempts suicide.
Yeah.
I wish we had time to talk about that, because the school is, we have recreational centers, since the school is one of them. When a child attempts suicide, there is a problem, and the problem can be the parent and the school can help the child.
Okay, maybe we'll talk about psychological issues of children next time, and what to do. Okay, yes, please don't suspend and expel children when they attempt suicide. They need help.
Yeah.
What they need is a doctor. They need a doctor, they need a psychologist, they need support, not suspension. Uncle, last words.
Yes, parents, don't be discouraged with whatever must have happened in terms of disciplining a child in the school. These days, it's a parent and teacher center. The education is parent-teacher center. Gone are the days that you send your children to school
and forget about
that. But now it's
you work together.
And parent center. You must work together to come out with the very good results in training the children.
So, parents, thank you for tuning in. We're saying, don't give up on your child. Keep at it. Keep talking with them. Keep praying with them. Draw them close and start as early as possible. But even if you didn't start early, it's never late. It's never late. Once we're alive, there's always hope. There's always opportunity for a child to get better and for you to be a better parent. Don't give up. Keep at it. Keep praying. Keep encouraging the child. Draw the child close. And by the grace of God, that child will turn out well and will be a joy to you and the society. Thank you so much for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you again next time. From the living room, my name is Amaka Ucheke, and God bless us all.
Amen.